Hello, my name is Rodney Robinson. I am an Archon of Gamma Xi Boulé of Sigma Pi Phi fraternity, and I'm glad to be here today to talk about my journey to success of my career for you. I wanted to start by mentioning my background growing up in Greenville, South Carolina. I was a teenager at the time, and my parents had moved there from Connecticut. But I would say Greenville was the place where I was a freshman in high school. I learned a lot about people and school and studying, and that was really the foundation of my start on my journey to success. And I bring up Greenville because my father, who was also an Archon, Rodney Robinson, was head of the Greenville County Urban League in the early 80s, and he was a connector. My dad knew everyone in the town, whether you were a C-level executive or you were the bus boy at his favorite restaurant. He was a person who could walk with kings and never lose the common touch. And because of that, my father was able to lend his natural ability to relate to people, understand people, and do what's good for people. You may know the Urban League as an organization that helps people find jobs and helps get their skill levels up to speed. So I was able to meet a lot of different influential people through all walks of life and all different careers. I remember when I was in high school, my dad would have me go sit in with a person from his board of directors and understand about investment banking, or sit with another person to understand about the law, different types of career sectors. But the biggest transition that was helpful for me when I was growing up in Greenville was a person on my dad's board of directors went to a boarding school in Virginia, and I had no idea what a boarding school was. And he was able to convince my dad to have me take a look at the school. And I literally thought boarding school was just military academies if for kids that were in trouble, but it wasn't. It was focused an all-boys school in Virginia, and we focused on academics and on athletics. And it was a great way for me to focus, for me to kind of grow up at the age of 15, move away from home, and understand and learn from different types of people. So once I got to the boarding school, the preparatory school, I was able to do a lot more in terms of meeting people from all different walks of life, meeting more people, understanding different sports, and definitely studying my butt off as a high school student. Fast forward, I was able to leverage my academic career in boarding school and apply to one of the top colleges in the country. I was accepted into Brown University in Providence, Rhode Island. And at Brown, it was the opposite of boarding school, but yet I was very much academically prepared. And so the very first thing I'd want to lend to everyone listening is to definitely prepare yourself, work hard, study hard, and be in a position to take advantage of any opportunities that come your way. So in college, obviously I was able to get in and able to succeed in college, and I will say to this day, I never studied as hard in college as I did in boarding school, but I was able to understand what it takes to get things done and how to achieve academically, as well as to understand how to interact with people and do different initiatives and extracurriculars that I was interested in. So I'll fast forward again. After college, graduating, I worked in advertising. And the way I got the job in advertising was alumni from Brown University would come back to Brown and recruit. And I was able to have the confidence, based on my background, to know that advertising would be a good career for me. And if you don't know, advertising is simply telling stories. And if anybody's able to persuade someone, tell a story, get them to think about other things that they may have to make choices about, I think that's a good advantage of people that want to think about advertising as a career. When the company, Leo Burnett, where I worked, came to recruit at Brown, they had a history of not taking many people from the university. So more than 500 students would interview at Brown's campus, but we knew only one or two would get called back to Chicago, where they were headquartered, to have the formal next round interview with multiple people. And my attitude was that I was going to be one of the two, and I guess there's only one other spot open. So I want to go back to preparation. What I did in that career as a senior in college is that I literally read every single advertising business trade journal that was published in our library. I would spend a month every night reading every single ad age, every single ad week, so I knew more, or at least as much about the industry as anybody else that would be in the interview session. And so by the time I got to the interview, I certainly was able to understand the space, understand the various campaigns, and understand the ultimate goal of advertising is to get people to help clients sell their products to consumers who love their business. And that was really important for me to understand and for me to do and for me to execute. And it did end up in me getting the job at Leo Burnett Advertising in Chicago. But if I take a quick step back, one of the interesting things about me saying I want to do advertising is I knew what I didn't want to do. And my father gave me a couple trial jobs in high school, in the summers of high school. I did everything from selling men's suits and men's clothes and men's ties. That was an interesting sales job. But the job that really got me to be convinced to say I want to focus on what I want to do and what my passion is one summer my dad had me work in a temporary job for a couple days unloading sheet metal off of a tractor trailer truck in 110 degrees heat. And I knew from working for 24 to 48 hours that this is not the job that I wanted, to unload sheet metal off of a truck and to really focus on my career, focus on my pursuits of my vocation that I really wanted to focus on. So fast forward back again to advertising. I did that for a few years. I asked a lot of questions. I think once you understand what you don't want to do, you understand what you are good at, what you do want to do. And I really focused on asking questions every single day at my job, meeting as many executives as I could. One of my goals in college, I took Japanese language and as well as in graduate school. And my goal was to go work in Japan for Leo Burnett Advertising. I actually interviewed when I was in college for one of the Japanese advertising agencies. Did not get the job, had an interview in Japanese, and it wasn't as fluent as I thought it could be, but it was still always a goal of mine. So that really allowed me to have an international bent when I did interview at Leo Burnett to look at Japan. Now it didn't work out, so not everything's going to work out perfectly, but I think what's important about that is that I never gave up that hope or that passion and pursuit of saying, let me try something, let me stretch myself and do something that I didn't know if I could do, but I was going to give it a good shot. And so after 3 years in advertising, my client at the time hired me away because they liked what I was doing, working on their behalf. And again, my goal was to help them sell their products. So they gave me an offer to move from Chicago to New York, pay me $50 per diem, which means per day, for my food and dry cleaning. And my attitude was like, that's a lot of money, because I just ate pizzas and got my dry cleaning done, and so I knew I'd be able to make some good money over the summertime. But long story short, by the end of that summer, the client hired me away. They're like, we really love what you do, and we love how you work. We love how you work with the team. Would you consider working here at this company? And I was initially hesitant, but then they kind of convinced me to say, okay, give it a shot. I was 25 years old, and let's give it a shot. So I did do that in New York City for a couple of years. But after 2 years, I got bored and I wanted to get back into advertising. I want to get back to understanding how you have three sides of a coin. You have literally you have the client side, where I worked for a couple of years. You have the agency side, who makes the commercials. And then you have a side of the coin where it's the media side. And on the media side, that's where the money goes. And I'll tell you a quick story my dad told me when I was 23, 24 years old. I was at the ad agency, and I flew to New York, first class, first time I'd ever flown first class, because our client was United Airlines. And I thought that was a cool thing, but I went and sold a multi-$10 million media plan to the client, and I was really proud of myself that I did something at such a young age. And I flew back and called my dad and said, hey Dad, I sold a tens of millions of dollars media plan to this client on this for these benefits. And my dad had a simple question. He said, hey, that's great, son. Who got the money? And I said, oh, well, Field and Stream got the money, or Sports Illustrated got the money, or Car and Driver magazine got the money. He's like, well, son, that's great, but I got one piece of advice. You might want to follow the money. And so that got me to wake up to look at that third side of the coin, which is the sales side of the coin. And I left to go follow the eyeballs and follow where the money went, and went into the sales side of media, which works with advertising. So that sales company was NBC, and that was at 30 Rockefeller Center. And I was there at the beginning of NBC Internet, which was a great time for me to understand the business, understand the TV media outlets, customers and clients, and how they fulfilled their dreams, and help them sell products. So that was a good step for me to get into the media space on the sales side. And what I also made sure I did was not just work for someone, but make sure that my money was working for me and my family at the time. I was had been recently married. And what's important about that is that a lot of people can get good jobs, but then what can you do outside of work to also have income streams? So an opportunity came about, and I think it's always important to be ready, be prepared for any opportunity. That a friend of mine from one of my jobs had left that company to go to Harvard Business School, and he had a chance to write the business plan for a new thing called the internet.com, and it was called usatoday.com. You may have heard the newspaper, but in 1994 there were very few websites out there. There was no CNN, there was no ESPN, there were a couple search engines, but USA Today was brand new. So he called me up saying, hey, there's this new thing we got approved by Gannett. Are you interested in coming to do marketing for them? And I said, yeah, sure, I'll give that a shot, no problem. There were no rules, nobody had ever done it before. And I jumped at the chance to be the first head of marketing at USA Today. What I learned quickly in the journalism environment is that there aren't big marketing budgets like there were in advertising. They were very small budgets. And it was frustrating to not be able to do advertising like I knew from my agency days. And the editor at the time said, hey, would you consider flipping from the marketing side, where we kind of spend money, to the sales side, where we generate revenue? And I said, yeah, sure, I'll give that a shot. So once I started doing the sales and talking to clients, I never looked back, and that was a great chance for me. I'll fast forward again. That after some time at NBC and USA Today, I had a chance to work in some bigger .com companies. Because one thing that my boss at USA Today told me is, she said, Rodney, you're not going to get rich working here. I said, thank you so much. Thank you for telling me that. And I knew then that I had to look out for myself and my family and figure out where I could maximize my earnings potential. And I had a friend from my very first job, again, people you know, Leo Burnett Advertising, who was working at Yahoo. And Yahoo at the time was the biggest website / search engine out there. And I went to work at Yahoo at the beginning of the .com boom, so to speak, and did really, really well at Yahoo. I did so well that I retired the first time when I was, I don't know how old I was, 35 years old. But I was able to have choices, and with those choices, I did something that I really am the most proud of. It's been 21 years now. I started a private family foundation. That foundation is called the Robinson Family Foundation, and I give my mom and my dad credit that it focuses on three simple things. It focuses on health, focuses on family, and focuses on serving others. And so today, 21 years later, since I was working at Yahoo, myself and now my two daughters run this foundation. And we focus on giving back to causes that help focus on healthier lives. It focuses on social justice. It focuses on education, areas that can help people learn and better themselves and better their families. So that's very, very important for me in terms of what I've done. So just to bring it full circle, after the Yahoo days, I shifted from there and I worked at another big site called Google. And that was interesting to understand that business, and that was an explosion as well in terms of its popularity and its ability to help people find information on any topic in the world. So I did that for a few years, and then I made another move. An opportunity struck where a friend of mine from Yahoo said, hey, would you consider coming over here to work at Facebook, which is now called Meta. But at the time, Facebook was very small, and it wasn't as big as a site called Friendster or even Google. It was not a big company whatsoever, less than 1,000 people. So I said, yeah, sure, I'll try that again. So I left Google and went over to Facebook and ran sales for them out of Chicago. And that was also just a great experience to learn, expand, scale what I know, hire people, and manage different teams and enjoy my time in that space. So I spent 12 years there, and based on my career having great potential on working in sales and also running my foundation, I was fortunate enough to retire at the age of 53, and I've been retired now for 4 years. And it's definitely been kind of a mark of mine to say, control your outcomes, control your journey to success, and to bring it full circle once more. I have 2 daughters, and my youngest daughter now works at Google for my old sales team from 20 years ago, and I'm most proud of her because she has a leg up. She understands the business, understands client goals, and how to help them succeed. And she's doing it in New York City, and I couldn't be more proud of her. And of course, my other daughter I'm very proud of too. She is a dog whisperer. She is a veterinary technician, and she loves animals. Animals love her, and I couldn't be more proud that they're healthy, and they're thriving, and they're successful in their passion fields that they enjoy. So with that, I appreciate you listening on my journey to success, and I hope it's helped some of you, and have a great day.